Adam Rose, and in this video we are going to be exploring chord progressions. Now, we're not exactly going to be finding new chord progressions because here in 2019 pretty much everything has been done in terms of the way notes have been combined. However, we can still find chord progressions that are new to us and excite us, make us juiced about creating music. So that's what it's all about. Now, we're going to be using a motif in this video, which is basically like a statement or a musical sentence. And then we're going to be varying the bass notes to alter the way the motif sounds. Now, this video is not going to be tailored to very beginners, nor am I going to be discussing theory in detail. It's more of a principle-centered video, so pay attention to how I'm exploring here, more so than the notes themselves. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we are going to do is come up with a motif. I already have one, so let's hear what that sounds like. So that's like our musical sentence. We could also try it in a minor key. Same thing, just minor. That's E minor, the other one was D major. So we're going to work with the minor key because it's darker, and this is kind of like Danny walked to the beach or something, and this is more like Danny fell down a deep dark well, something like that. Now, the next thing we want to do in order to foster creativity is switch it out of a familiar key. So E minor is a pretty familiar key, a lot of white keys. Let's go to a key with a lot of black keys, which would be E flat minor. We'll use that instead. And E flat minor is actually a really good key because the black keys form a pentatonic minor scale. So you can't really make a mistake in E flat minor. Just hit the black keys and you're fine. So on to the next step. So now what we want to do is go to the most obvious places that we could possibly go. And that would mean going to the notes that are in the E minor scale. Keeping everything the same up here, just altering the bass, altering the left hand, okay? So after the 1, naturally we'd go to the 2. Sounds fine, right? And then we go to the 3. Sounds good as well, right? Nothing too original, but sounds fine. Now let's try the 4. I want to play these a couple times so you can get the sound in your head. I realize it's going to take a little bit longer this way, but it's important to do that so you can really get a feel for it, because that's what you'll be doing in your own creation process as well. Is one of the most likely places we could go. A lot of songs are simply just 1/4 chord progressions. That's it. Next place we go is the 5. Sounds fine as well. We could combine that with a 4 if we want. Now the 6. Let's go down low. Very common to go to the 6. In fact, you can do a whole song just based on going back and forth between the 1 and the 6 as well. So, one more to try is the 7. So we can put a few of those together and come up with like a 4-chord, 4-bar chord progression if we want to. So let's try. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So far we're in familiar terrain, and now we're going to switch gears and really find some new stuff. So now that we've been through all of the bass notes in the key of E flat minor, we're going to explore the bass notes that are not in the key of E flat minor. Let's go ahead and establish home bass real quick. That's our key center. So the first note that is not in the key of E flat minor would be the flatted second or minor second. Let's go ahead and hear that. We'll toggle back and forth between the 1 and the flatted 2 a couple times, just so you can hear the flavor. So that sounds really good because we are forming the Lydian mode when we go up to the flatted second, so that's a really nice sounding mode. It's very mystical sounding. It's not used too often in pop music, but I really like to use the Lydian mode. So that's a really good option. So far, no problems. You could definitely build a song just around going back and forth between those two chords alone. On to the next. So our next option would be not the 2, we've already done that. Not the minor 3. But the major 3. We'll go back and forth a couple times between the 1 and the major 3 now. Pretty dissonant sounding. Now it could lend itself well to a horror film or something like that, so it is usable. It's just not that you're going to want to use that too commonly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start to play with the motif a little bit, whereas before when we were in the key of E flat minor with the bass, we kept the motif the same because we never needed to change it. But now we're going to have to mess with it just a little bit, just see if we can alter it a little bit. So let's just change one note in the motif and see what happens now. Okay? There's just one note. Just that one note, and it totally changes the color of the chord. So we have, what would the chord be named? It would be something kind of long and crazy. It'd be a 7, sharp 5, sharp 9 chord, I believe. G, 7, sharp 5, sharp 9. Sounds really complicated, but... all we have to do is change one note, and now we have a really cool sounding chord progression, just with those two chords right there. So our next option would not be the 4, we've already done that. Sounds really good. It would be the sharp 4 or the flat 5. It sounds okay because we're kind of in a spooky context here. However, the notes are a little bit dissonant, so we might want to explore changing a couple notes in the motif just to see if we can land on more safe terrain. So let's play with that just a little bit. So I really like the last one. There's a few good options we could use there. So just by keeping the first two the same and messing with the third and the fourth, we're able to come up with a couple options that work really well. And again, we can just go between these two chords and have a really good basis for a song. So let's see what our next option is now. We're just at the sharp 4. That's the 5, the 6. would be the major 6. So it's still very dark, very dissonant, so we could keep it as is, or we could change a couple notes again and see what it sounds like. So let's give this a shot. Just changing the top note. We already pretty much solved the problem, and we got a very usable chord right there. Or you can change the top 2 notes if you want. That's kind of cool because the top 2 notes, the bottom one is going down a half step, the top one is going up a half step. So it's kind of going like this. So there's the major 6. So let's see what we have left here. So we're at the major 6. That's the 7. Only one more, and that is the major 7. That is the most dissonant yet, so let's just play around with that. Same thing as the last chord, we are just changing the top note, and it already sounds quite a bit better just by doing that. Alright, we're going to change the bottom note 2 to make it the same as the bass note now and see how that sounds. Pretty damn good, right? And in that instance, what we did is we took the top 2 notes that we're using and we split them apart. So again, like in the last one, we had those 2 notes that were right together. One went down, one went up. This time we're taking the 2 notes, one at the top, one at the bottom, and we're splitting them. Top one goes up a half step, bottom one goes down a half step. So it's geometrical, plus it sounds really good. I'll play it one more time. So now that we've been through all of the chords, it's really up to you to apply these principles to your playing and see what you can do just by taking a simple motif and then exploring just the way I did, in this case changing the bass notes, and seeing what you find. You can easily in this day and age come up with a cool song just with 2 chords, or even just 1 chord sometimes. So you might want to see though if you can string 3 or 4 together and see what you can come up with. Now even if you take 3 of the more safe options and just add 1 of those more outside options, you can make a song sound much, much more unique and original than you would if you stick to what's too familiar. So again, if you play in a key that's not so familiar like E flat or F sharp, you're much more likely to discover new things. So I highly encourage you when you're playing to get out of your comfort zone and make mistakes. Try different things. Let your hands go and just see where you end up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, like it, share it, whatever people do. Okay, thanks.